Imagine being an Italian and coming over this part of the world for the first time, settling into your house, get everything ready, and then finally going down into your little garden, looking at the soil and thinking, the hell I'm going to do with this? Quite literally. But I want you to listen to where I come from and why I say that. Because the more I think about it, and especially preparing for this, the more I realize that my love for farming has never been separated from my love of food. See, I grew up with my grandmother and my mother that cooked and prepared food, taking it straight from the little garden that was right next to our house. Okay? Our home was also a little trattoria, was our business, what we live off of. And I never saw the difference between the two. For me, it was just natural going there and grabbing and taking it back to the kitchen and cook. So it is, as I said, it never been separated, right? I grew up with them cooking amazing food for our customers. They were mostly, it was a trattoria, so it's a family-run restaurant. It was mostly blue collar, and the food was very simple, but was absolutely delicious. My grandmother was an amazing cook, and I can literally still smell and taste some of the food, because I do it, by the way, so, some of the food that she prepared. But way before that, before actually Grandma came to Milano to live with me and my mother, she did the same thing in a little trattoria in this teeny tiny village in the Padana Valley, right? So the village is called Cortenuova, okay, which means anyway, doesn't matter, has 2,000 inhabitants today. So those times probably there were 400 to 500 people. She was used to cook for the merchant that came every week for the weekly market, okay? And in those times, you didn't cook the meat. They brought you the meat to prepare it, and she will accompany us. So she will prepare pasta, polenta, risotto, vegetable, whatever she had available at that time, and people would pay for that, and a glass of wine, allow me to say that. So anyway, when she moved to Milano, things really didn't change much. We just live in a cute little house that had a garden next to it. So for her, it was just automatic adjustment. The family, my family, owns a large owns a large farm in the Pianura Padana, where they do mostly monoculture, okay? So we grow cereals, okay? The farm sustain 8 families and seasonal workers, okay? In addition to that, the family also owns a chicken farm. A chicken farm. And I do remember very clearly being a very young girl, probably 12 years old or so, going to the chicken farm. We're very excited, and I'm expecting this sea of yellow chicks, all fluffy and cute. And instead, you find an ocean of barely feathered, very smelly, white chickens. And it was so heartbreaking, and I decided right there and then I would never eat a chicken ever again. And I did for many, many years. Quite literally. So what my family did with the farm and with the chicken farm and with the big farm is actually one of the things that I would like to help solve today. Now, every single summer at the beginning of the school, the summer holidays, of course, we, the children, 18 cousins, we were literally shipped back down to the farm, from the city back down to the farm where Nonna spent their summer, right? And I do remember, I have beautiful memory, of course, connected to it. I do remember coming back from the fields on top of a horse-drawn cart, on piles, what I think was, hay at the time, right? And then coming back to the granary with my cousin, literally sliding down of this mountain of seeds and being slapped, and quite hardly, at the time was legal, by my uncles and my grandmother, which told us millions of times not to do that because we mess up the pile, we mess up the seeds all the time. And also going to my grandmother's garden, which she gardened very carefully, stealing green tomato, they're still a passion of mine today, and any green fruit I could possibly find, right? and again, being slapped very hardly and being put, in punishment and whatever. Also, in the winter, is one of my favorite memory, with a little exception, but in November, for All Saints, which is the 2nd of November in Italy, and is also coincide with the opening of the hunting, it did coincide, because now it's later, but it coincided with the opening of the hunting season in North Italy. I remember very well the steam coming up from the from the compost pile, which was in the back of the accommodation, or the living quarter of the farm. The farm was like U-shaped, with the compost pit in the back, right? And I remember the men coming back from the first hunting day with birds and hare and whatever they hunted that day. And then everybody, all the kids included, were tasked with cleaning, plucking feathers, whatever was necessary, prepare the food for the feast that will follow. And believe me, it was a feast. That time of the year is also the butchering of the pigs in Italy. Those time, it was done only once a year. Talk about sustainability, right? So pigs were grown all throughout the year and then, butchered at that time. So the meat to sell would be separated. The meat to be preserved for the year would be prepared. And at the end of that night, which normally was day number 3 of the reunion, we will be all sitting around this table that was covered with what I remember as a mountain of polenta. I don't know if you know what polenta is, but it's basically corn mash, right? So a mountain of polenta covered with the trimmings and the bones of the pigs that were killed. In Italy, we call them ossa dei morti, which means the bones of the dead. But it's delicious, I promise you. It was really, really good. But anyway, so you know what they say, nose to tail today is very trendy, especially in a chefy world, so that we did that 60 years ago. So, whatever. Anyway, then all of a sudden I find myself, I was 18 years old. I met my first husband and his huge family from Tuscany, and another world literally happened. It opened up in front of my. I started eating chicken again, because they had a farm, they still have a farm actually, on the hills of Florence, near Florence at least, right? But it was completely different. So the chicken was free roaming. They were growing lots of vegetables that I'm not saying I never seen before, but I never seen growing before. Because they are not typical from my part of the country, but also because we did mass cultivation, right? So anyway, so they grow all this beautiful stuff. They also went, They went hunting wild boars, okay? Because wild boars are very destructive on the hills and the mountains of Tuscany. So they had a special license, again, once a year, to go do that. So completely different, right? The great thing about it was that the restaurant was in Milano, in a big city, but every single week, one of the uncles of my husband will bring a truck back to Milano full with all these beautiful things. So if they harvested or they, got some wild asparagus rather than wild boar, rather than the chickens or the artichokes, depending the season, it was really, truly seasonal cuisine. Yeah, we didn't have strawberry in winter. That's simple, just to say, right? So it was just amazing to have all this bounty, all this beautiful food to prepare in a city like Milano. So for me, again, farming, cooking, farming, restaurant. It's always been the same thing. You come to realize that only later on, but farming and food as one unity, as one thing and one thing only, okay? As far as I can remember, I always knew where my food came from. How lucky am I? Truly. Who can remember? Who of you knows? How many of you know the chicken you ate yesterday? The vegetable you had, where it come from? Do you have any idea? I rest my case, okay? So my family, the chicken factory, the big farm in the Padana Valley, are part of this enormous worldwide problem, which is monocultivar. Okay, excessive use of chemical, excessive use of, fertilizer. And unfortunately, I saw what this does to a land that once was beautifully tree-laced, rich in fauna and flora and everything. So when I came to this little island of ours, I fell in love with it. I fell in love with the people. I fell in love with the tradition. I fell in love with the culture. I fell in love with the love for food. I fell in love with the extended family. I fell in love with the fact that, the fishing, it just felt so familiar, so comfortable, so embracing. And I really felt that I could become part of the society. I could possibly be here and contribute because of what I learned, right? So my research started right away. What can I do? How can I have a garden? How can I show what can be done in a better way, so to say, right? The sad part is that Bahrain has this incredible tradition of being a place where navigators, traders, merchants stop for fresh water, for fresh vegetable, for fresh food, for fresh meat. We lost that. We kind of abandoned that. Really, and I understand the need of growing and the need of, supporting the population. However, we really import everything now. And God knows I need Parmigiano cheese. There's absolutely no doubt in my mind. But within this growth, you guys, we have exhausted our aquifer, right? They are now infiltrated with salt water, with seawater, right? The desalination that is necessary to bring fresh water to all of us that now live here, it creates such a negative impact, environmental, of course, to the island. So it's difficult and would be almost impossible to revert it, but there is many things that we can do. So the farming has been pretty much all abandoned, right? It's in the hand of people that really don't care much anymore. They don't make enough money off of it. So don't care. It's being sold and houses are built on and so forth on. You believe it that there are only 47 farmers registered in a system in Bahrain? 47. It's nothing. And the little that we do is always the same crops, which is one of the problems because they impoverish the soil. So we don't grow vegetable on soil. We grow vegetable on fertilizer because the soil is so impoverished, right? So the fight that is happening in that very first 30 centimeter of soil, right? It is so important. We have, the really healthy, undisturbed soil, of course. So the roots fighting with the nematodes, I'm reading now. The squiggly worms and the insect, right? The mycorrhizal fungi, right? The network, of course. The rhizosphere that is right around the roots. The fight that the plant put up every single moment to become stronger and better is what makes our food taste the way it tastes when it tastes good, okay? Is what actually gives the nutrition-dense quality that we need from our food, that we're losing because we disturb it with the tilling, we disturb it and we continuously put it up. There is a sophisticated chemical language between the plants and the microbes. The plants know exactly who to talk to, okay? We need to protect that. And that's what I intend to do. Modern, intensive cultivation methods is what have ruined our soil, okay? They are destroying, the degradation of the soil. They are destroying, create desertification, right? Because guess what? When you till it, what do? You expose raw soil to the sun and the wind, and guess what happens? It becomes dust and flies away. So we lose soil continuously. And again, it strips people, losing that, it strips people of the possibility of running farm and making money off of it, right? But it's also stripped us from nutrients that are so important that we find. So when you say, oh my God, this tomato doesn't taste like anything, it doesn't have taste because it doesn't have that fight, but guess what? It doesn't have nutrients either. So it's like chewing on water, right? So all this may seem a tragedy, but I tell you guys, it is so fast and easy to turn it around. And that's the message that I'm here to pass today. It's all in our hands. We can all contribute to that. But let me tell you, when I started my farm, right, it has been 3 years. We have turned around completely the soil. My soil is amazing. The things that we grow is amazing. But even further, 15 years ago, when I opened Muscle, when we were in the process of opening Muscle, we created a little garden. It was very small, unfortunately no longer existing, but it was not permaculture, it was not regenerative like we do now, but it was 100% organic. We didn't use anything but natural compost and animal compost. And in 1 year, we had wonderful vegetables that we were serving at the restaurant. So it can be done. It really can be done. So believe me when I say we all are the solution. We are the problem. We do create a problem. We're very good at that. But we all are the solution. It starts so simply. It starts from your kitchen, from your windowsill, from that piece of land that your family owns and hasn't been touched in years. Okay? Muscle Garden was a plot of sand, unused for 10 years. 1 year was a garden. It starts by literally, it's an expensive project. Just grab all the leftover from your kitchen. Grab it from the family around you. All the organic leftover, of course, right? Cardboard, right? Throw it on the soil, put the cardboard on and water with water. Leave it there. Let it be. Nature will do it. In 1 year, you're going to have a productive garden. I guarantee it. Okay? It really is going to be a healthy, producing garden. So, I want what my grandmother and my mother had and gave me. Really, I want that for my daughter. I want that for my granddaughter. And hopefully, I will have that for the daughter of my granddaughter. And so forth, so on. So, now I want to give you a couple of, let me see if I find it. Okay, sustainable way. I'm going to let you read that because I will not remember what to say. But anyway, when I founded Roots and Shoots, I have to admit it, I did it for my own, because I wanted to go in my restaurant and say, see, look at this vegetable I'm giving you. I just cultivated in my garden. It's organic, it's all for you. I was looking in the wrong place, although I still do that today. But what I did is that I focused on how to get those vegetables rather than focusing on how I could get the flavor that I was looking for. It took me 3 months, but in 3 months, Andy and I, my daughter and I, realized that we were looking in the wrong place, that we needed to look at much more holistically. We needed to look at the soil itself, the water, how the system was going to work. We needed animals. We realized that we needed that because it was not complete. The system was not complete. Organic, fantastic, not enough. It needs to be regenerative. How do I recreate more soil? How do I manage to get that? So literally, I needed everything. I needed cover crops. I needed forage crop to feed my animals, right? And that is what actually contributed to create the soil that I have today. So from the moment that I arrived, my farm had a 25-centimeter drop where we were growing, right? That was used to be flooded with water. Today is all at the same level. So in 3 years, we managed to build 25 centimeters of soil on top of what was missing, quite literally, okay? So my specific scope is really to raise the issue and find solutions, yes? However, I really believe that there are also business opportunity that are missed within this. Okay? So I'm not just here to say, let's be all green and whatever. No, I really believe that we can help more women gain more financial independence, okay? And I really think we also heal the soil and the planet that we live on ultimately, right? Because we start here with our little island and it can only grow. And I'm not the first one to do this, obviously. I'm copying and learning from many other people. And you might ask, why women? Why limited to women? Well, because we are the mothers, we are the providers, we are the one that put the food on the table, and I know, and thank God, things are changing and our men are coming into and helping us with that. However, I really believe that it's ingrained, the nurturing, factor is ingrained in our DNA, and that will never go away, okay? There is more women, let's be honest, that can actually take advantage of a little bit more of financial independence, right? So, going no-till and regenerative as we do is a no-brainer, you guys, okay? Number one, 50 to 80% saving on fuel cost because you don't need plowers. You don't need machinery, pretty much. In regenerative farming, you don't remove the stock. When you finish the growth, you harvest everything, you cut it low, and you leave it there. Mother Nature will degrade it and make soil out of that. It will create more organic matter. So the next year, you just cover it with compost and plant on top of it, right? So that's number one, 30 to 50% less labor cost. Okay, because it takes much less people to do what we do than the modern tillage system, okay? So that is already a big advantage. You do recreate the soil, and once again, we do not disturb the soil. Carbon sequestration. You till the soil, you release carbon in the air, okay? We can actually sequester more carbon than we produce by not tilling. The soil has an enormous ability of doing that, okay? And reutilizing and turning that carbon into nutrients that will go into our vegetable, right? So literally, it's a secondary effect of not tilling, but it's of primary importance. We are all concerned with carbon emission or whatever. Well, let's not till the darn soil so, we keep the carbon in there. 80% of carbon preservation by not tilling, quite literally, okay? So recycling initiative in Bahrain is a sad talk. 13% only of everything that we collect can be recycled. 7% is plastic, 4% is glass. It's nothing, you guys. You know how much we collect? 1.2 million tons per year. 4,500 tons per day. 60% of that is food, you guys. Food, 4,500 tons food wastage every day, 132 kilo per person. We throw away half a kilo food per person if we consider the 2 million, close to 2 million inhabitants in Bahrain. I rest my case, right? It's enormous. So we grow chicken because chicken are really very important for the maintenance of our soil. They are our natural, insect killers. Okay, very, very, very good at that. Incredible. The ducks even better because the ducks eat also, snails and stuff like that. So anyway, this just to give you an idea, look at those numbers. I mean, I'm not going to read it to you. They're staggering, to say the very least, right? So now, but let me give you a couple of details about our soil. So as per research conducted by the National Initiative for Agriculture, Development, Information, and the e-Government of Bahrain, really. So, potassium level in our soil is too high. You know how we fix it? Yes, okay. We need to remove stones, which we normally do, that release actually mica and there is another feldspar, that releases actually, more potassium in the soil. We fix it by collecting all the animal wastage, particularly carcasses, bones, from the trimming of the chickens or whatever else, and putting them back into the soil. Fix the problem with potassium. Yeah, too much potassium in the soil, again, impede the plants to absorb more important nutrients and make the plants, again, good for us. So that's number one. So opportunity, wet, and organic, differentiated trash collection to be used for the improvement of the soil, right? Could be, we have plenty of food and beverage businesses, whatever, they throw everything away. So why not, right? Now next, connected to actually the nitrogen level in our soil is the fact that in Bahrain it's pretty much impossible. Ask people that has animals. It's pretty much impossible to find fresh and good feed for cows, goats, sheep, horses. We have them all. So I know. We grow our own, okay? It's pretty much impossible. By growing grasses, indigenous grasses, and of course ideally a lot of like chickpeas, right, or lentils, okay? But there are also crops such as, clover and alfalfa, which are for animal, and some that are actually for human consumption. By doing that, we fix the nitrogen problem. Really, it's that simple. I mean, again, keeping the soil covered and producing these things. So we solve also the problem of not having feed for the animals. I mean, people really, it's contacting us and asking us if we can sell them our crops because they don't have feed for the animals, right? And again, business opportunity there. Okay, we don't really have patience to grow something else. Let's try with grasses that can actually be sold and make money, right? So, again, and then there is another factor. Oh, yeah. So, I put something down because you know how the farmers call the chemicals that they use? Medicine. They call it medicine, pesticide, insecticide. They call it medicine. I've been told multiple times, no, chef, you cannot do it unless you use a little bit of medicine. Whomever used that term, invented that term, should be put to jail. Yeah, medicine for poison. Anyway, so nematodes, by the way, going back to this little insect that grow in there, feeds on bacteria, fungi, and a little microscopic creature, of course. And such, they are a major component of soil and sediment ecosystem. They are also excellent killers of beetle larvae, which kill our palm trees. So we are the problem, the solution. So as I said, it starts from anyone can do a little thing. When you buy this basil pot, plant it. Okay, keep it, don't throw it away, and you're gonna have endless supply of fresh basil in the house without having to pay for it, okay? So once again, involve everyone. Spread the news quite literally. Tell people what can be done. Just be mindful of what you put in your mouth, or what you buy. Do you buy too much? Do you buy, just buy enough, buy what is necessary, don't waste, once again. Okay? Again, we are all the problem, we are all the solution. We just need to know what we're doing.